Welcome to Sheltering Arms Institute's ADA Accessible Home Education class for discharging at the wheelchair level. This presentation is meant to be a guide for making your home the most practical. You will learn about ADA guidelines and recommendations for each room in your home. You will learn about what is considered safe, not only inside the house, but starting from your driveway, with the overall goal of making you the most independent in your home. What is the ADA? The ADA is the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990. It focuses on supporting people with disabilities in their community, at home, and place of work or school. It provides recommendations for building modifications for people with disabilities to improve overall access and accessibility. Starting with the driveway. Is your driveway surface level? Do you have a clear pathway to the door to enter your home? Are there any stairs, thresholds, or ledges? Below is a guide of recommendations per ADA in regards to ramp steepness, ramp handrails, slip prevention, ramp length, landings and turns, and ramp weight capacity. Do you have space to transfer out of your vehicle? Do you have a garage that you'll park in? Below is a chart with recommendations regarding the driveway and the garage. Is your front door handle easy to grasp and open with one hand? Is there a threshold to get into your doorway? Below is a chart with recommendations on doorknobs and door thresholds.
There are a couple other modifications that I have on here. You may notice that there's a foot plate that's there just to protect it if I use my wheelchair to push the door open. So here we go. So I'm exiting my house. You'll notice on most of my doors, I've put a gate handle right here. So I'm able to close the door behind me without turning around and reaching for the regular doorknob.
Is the doorway at least 32 inches wide? Below is a chart with recommendations regarding doorway width, offset door hinges, and removing barriers to entryways.
So one of the simpler modifications on my house is you'll notice there aren't any steps. Typically there would be the end of the porch back over here. But we had it so that there aren't any steps and I can access from any angle. On my front door, there are a couple of features that help me with my accessibility. The first of which is using a keypad for the lock on my door. It's very difficult for me to use standard keys. So just being able to punch the numbers onto the keypad and unlock my door is very helpful. I also have a video doorbell, which comes in quite handy if I'm in bed and someone rings a doorbell. I can speak to them and see who it is, and tell them to come in or ask them to come back later. Another thing on the front porch is the mailbox. This may not seem like much of a modification, but in my neighborhood and most neighborhoods that are being built nowadays, they have moved to cluster mailboxes so that folks don't have mailboxes at their home. But you can file a form with your local post office asking for a hardship, and they will allow you to have a mailbox at your door as opposed to having a community mailbox.
Moving on to the hallways and the living room. If your floors are carpeted, the carpet needs to be securely attached. Throw rugs should be removed from open spaces. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding hallways, hallway door handles, and the piling, which is the carpet and the carpet padding. Moving on to the bedroom. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding doorways, turning spaces, closet shelves or racks, and mattresses.
So this is the closet where I keep all my clothes. Put them in there. So most of my clothes hang up on hangers, so they're easily accessible to me, just to pull them off and put them on. One thing about this closet is the racks are a little bit lower so that I can reach them throughout, and has a little bit more space so I can maneuver around it. So when I get up in the morning, I have to turn my light on. So I can't reach over there and turn the knob. So I use an app that's called Wise. It has a smart plug. So I just open the app and hit the button and the light comes on. A couple pieces of equipment that I keep on my bedside table. One is a little bit more modern than the other, and that being an alarm clock that will actually project the time onto the ceiling, so that it allows me to see what time it is without having to roll completely over in bed to look at the alarm clock. The other thing is a little bit outdated in a lot of folks' homes. It's a simple landline telephone. The reason I have that next to my bed is mainly for emergency purposes, considering that 911 is a little bit more easily tracked to a landline. When it comes to charging my cell phone, it can be a little bit difficult to plug a wire into the phone. So what I use is a wireless charging pad. So that way I can just set my phone on top of it and it will begin charging.
Moving on to the bathroom. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding doors, grab bars, the toilet, the sink, shower seats, and shower grab bars.
Once I finish my breakfast and my aide has arrived to help me with my bowel program, I transfer into bed where we start the routine before transferring onto the shower chair. And that's where I'll stay until the completion of my bowel program. So I really only use two pieces of adaptive equipment in the bathroom, neither of which are specifically designed for folks with disabilities. The first of which being my electronic toothbrush. It just allows me to push the button and brush my teeth more thoroughly than trying to hold a regular toothbrush. And then the second piece of equipment I use is actually a repurposed lint roller handle, which I use every night to mix up my Metamucil before going to bed. So, and part of preparing for work, I have to get dressed with at least a button-down shirt. So with little to no hand function, it's hard for me to button regular buttons. So I use this little adaptive piece of equipment here that helps me to button the buttons.
A roll-in shower may work best depending on your personal needs. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding a flat, barrier-free entryway, as well as a handheld shower head.
The shower wheelchair can come in here with space to turn around. So after I complete my bowel program, I then roll myself into the shower with my shower wheelchair. Some features in here that help me out quite a bit are the handheld shower, so that I can wash it all and control where the water is going, as opposed to using the standard shower head. I also shave in here, which I clearly do a lot. And I use this strap with the razor in it so that I'm able to put it onto my hand. and shave as needed.
Moving on to the laundry room. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding the floor space, the height of a washing machine if it is top loading, and the height of a washing machine if it is front loading.
In order for me to be able to be independent with my laundry and washing and dry my clothes, I need a few things. One of which are front loading washer and dryers that I put next to each other so that they're at a level that I can reach each of them. Another key thing that a lot of people, it's just become normal everyday use for everyone, but is vital for me with a lack of hand function, is using the Tide Pods so that I can just grab one and throw it into the wash as opposed to having to pour it out of the bottle and do it that way. So this is how I'm independent with doing my own laundry.
Moving on to the kitchen. Can you reach items on the shelves or in the freezer? Below is a chart with recommendations regarding upper cabinets, upper cabinet shelves, kitchen counters, and countertop clearance.
When it comes to refrigerators, I found that having a freezer on the bottom that you can pull out with the double refrigerator doors on top has been very helpful for my needs as a wheelchair user. So this is my pantry. It looks pretty similar to most folks' pantries, except these shelves are a little bit lower so that I can reach everything on any shelf that I need something from. So one issue a lot of wheelchair users run into in the kitchen is being able to utilize the cabinet space. Since we typically can't use the upper level cabinets, so there are adaptations that you can use in order to access upper cabinets. I mainly use the bottom cabinets and maximize their utilization by installing lazy Susans in this one so that I'm able to access quite a bit more than if I had to try to reach to the back of the cabinet. So if I have a can that doesn't have the pull tabs on top, I found this can opener that is relatively easier to use than most. So I don't do much cooking, but when I do, I typically have a can of soup. So what I have that helps me prepare that is I use a pretty standard pot, but it does have a grippier handle on it so that I'm able to pick it up and maneuver it safely. I also get cans of soup with pull tab on top so that I'm more easily able to open it. And I use just a standard fork and I push it under there and lift up and then pull it off. So pretty minimal as far as adaptive tools in the kitchen, but that's what works for me.
Below is a chart with recommendations for kitchen spaces that have a U-shaped and a kitchen space that is pass-through. Can you reach the sink, oven, and/or your microwave? Can you see the oven dials and what is in your cookware? Can you see what is in the sink? If you have a power chair and have a power seated elevator function, this function could be very useful in the kitchen for seeing and reaching during cooking tasks. Below is a chart with recommendations regarding sinks, ovens, faucets, and microwaves. The following videos are not specific to home modifications, however, they are other adaptive aids that may be of assistance depending on your level of injury.
So having a full-time job, I do a lot of work in my in-home office. A lot of tables and desks I typically don't roll under. So this desk was built up a few inches to make it accessible for me to be able to get under and work from home. The only adaptation I use on it is built into most computers, and that's called a sticky key. So if you hit shift button 5 times, it will turn on the sticky keys so that you don't have to hold down control and another button, or caps lock. If you want to capitalize a letter, you can just go ahead and hit shift and then whichever letter you'd like. And I go ahead and type with my thumb knuckle. There are different applications out there that you can use if you have limited hand function to type a little bit more efficiently. So I have a Nest smart thermostat installed, which helps me out quite a bit because I like to sleep with it cold, and then it needs to be a little bit warmer when I get up. So because I can't regulate my body temperature having quadriplegia. So what this allows me to do is control the thermostat from my bed or wherever I may be using my phone and an app. Another piece of smart technology that I can control with an app on my phone is the robot vacuum cleaner, which is extremely helpful to me since I use a wheelchair. It can be very difficult to use a standard vacuum cleaner or a broom to clean the house. So I can simply tell the app to vacuum the house and it'll do it. One simple modification that you get at any Lowe's or Home Depot is this box that you can plug in various appliances or lights into. What it does is allows you to use a remote to turn things on and off, so that if you have trouble getting to an outlet or being able to plug it in or not, or even operate switches, you can just use this remote to turn things on and off. After a long day at work, one of my favorite activities is to watch TV. So everybody likes sitting in a recliner, but folks with quadriplegia can have a very difficult time trying to use a regular lazy boy. So I use a power recliner, which allows me to kick my feet up where I would otherwise be unable to. Patio table was a little too low for me to be able to get under with my wheelchair. So I went out and bought some bed risers that you typically find for dorm room beds and whatnot. Flip them over and put them under the legs of the table so that I'm now able to get under my table comfortably.